All right, guys, so that ends off our segment with Zach's mini review for Rings. We're going to be doing another mini review of whatever the hell we plan on reviewing for next week's episode. So, yeah, it's good to see that we have another segment on for this. And right now, we're going to get into our next segment, which is movie news. And this is where Zach takes the lead from here. So, Zach, what do we have in movie news?
All right, well, Cars 3 raced away with the box office this weekend.
I didn't say the one you were going to say.
Yeah, I didn't say what I was going to say. More on that later. As the end of the trilogy that nobody asked for pulled in a $53.6 million in its debut, the movie had the lowest opening weekend for the franchise despite opening on more screens than the previous two films, which means it's as good as a time for any for some Zach stats. The original Cars opened on 3,988 screens with an average of $15,086 per screen. Cars 2 had a similar performance with an average of $16,072 on each of the 4,115 screens it opened onto. Cars 3 opened on a whopping 4,256 screens but only averaged $12,615 per screen, 2,471 less than the original film, which opened with $60.1 million domestically. Hey Pixar, you want to make a shit ton of money? Roll out The Incredibles 2, like, now. We are ready. We are waiting. No reason Cars should have a trilogy before we get a sequel that we've all really been waiting for. Except for Natasha, who has no taste in animated movies. Continuing on with the box office. Last weekend, we mentioned how Wonder Woman had the highest second weekend in DCEU so far. Well, time to put another notch on that belt as Wonder Woman's second place finish of $40.8 million is now the highest third weekend in the DCEU so far. Doing very well for my summer box office fantasy team.
Fuck you.
All Eyes on Me may have disappointed critically with its nasty 22% on Rotten Tomatoes, but the film still did well in its debut, earning $27.1 million over the weekend. The Mummy continues to exist, as it brought in $14 million this weekend domestically, but its worldwide total is already somehow approaching $30 million. So get ready for some sequels.
You mean $300 million.
$300 million. What did I say?
You said $30 million.
I wish it was at $30 million. $300 million, tack on an extra zero at the end of that. Lost my spot, but we're just going to round out this week's top 5 with 47 Meters Down, which had $11.6 million in its debut. Did you guys like Annabelle? Neither did anyone else. From the studio that brought us a series with 2 great movies and 1 terrible spin-off comes another spin-off. And no, I'm not talking about Annabelle 2, and I'm not talking about The Nun. I am, of course, talking about The Crooked Man. So, now both of the antagonists that we saw in The Conjuring 2 will have their own respective spin-off films. Oh boy. THR was the first to confirm the news of the film, and also the news that the script will be based on a story by James Wan. So that's, like, cool or something, I guess. War for the Planet of the Apes early reviews are in, which are very cool or something, I guess, and the results are overwhelmingly positive. Everyone seems to agree that the film holds its own with both Rise and Dawn, and impressive standing by itself as well. One of my personal favorite critics, Scott Mance, tweeted out that the film is, quote, amazing, deep, dark, and epic. Also said that the trilogy is one of the best ever. I am so goddamn ready to see these fucking apes on horses next month. That last part was me, not Scott Mance, just to clarify.
Hashtag apes on horses.
Hashtag apes on horses. Moving on, Colin Trevorrow, during the tour of trying to make people forget about the Book of Henry, spoke with MTV News about Jurassic World 2. The film is, of course, directed by J.A. Bayona, but Trevorrow is still producing and helped write the sequel. He was speaking specifically about Jeff Goldblum's Ian Malcolm, for which he used a lot of dialogue from Michael Crichton's original novel from the films which are based. Quick hat tip to Travis for teaching me how to pronounce Michael Crichton. Ryan Reynolds tweeted out a set photo of Deadpool 2 where everyone's favorite Merc was laying out in front of a familiar mansion with the caption, quote, drop by the X mansion, big fucking surprise, no one's home. Deadpool 2 will be released June 1st, 2018. I don't even need to see a trailer after that, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Marvel Studios and Sony head honchos Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal sat down for an interview with Comic Fade to continue the press for Spider-Man Homecoming. During the interview, Amy Pascal confirmed that next year's Venom takes place in the same universe as this Spider-Man, meaning that Venom would take place in the MCU. More on that in a bit. Feige's in the news a lot this week as he also commented on the possibility of Marvel trying to regain the rights to Fantastic Four. There is none, or at least right now. Feige told Newsarama that there is no plan for it, and they have not had any discussions about it. Stay away from that franchise, Kevin Feige. Stay away from it. Feige also spoke to Allocene, I think is how you pronounce it, and reiterated that there are also no current plans to cross over the movies with the television series. He wanted to discuss how The Defenders is being released in a couple of months and wants everyone just to do their own thing. Hopefully just for now. Scarlett Johansson appeared on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert to promote Rough Trip. Colbert, of course, knew what we all really wanted and asked her if there was anything she could say about Avengers Infinity War. Obviously, she deferred, but the one thing that she did reveal was that she said at one point in Infinity War there are, she thinks, 32 Marvel characters on screen at once. Get those IMAX tickets now, because we're going to need a big-ass screen for all those characters. Now with our big news of the week, Transformers: The Last Night will be arriving this weekend, but the movie may be an end of an era. Michael Bay continues to press that this will be his last film of the franchise. In an interview with Fandango, Bay said that he wants to go out with a bang with The Last Night and wants to go out while he's ahead. Should've left after the first one then, buddy. Mark Wahlberg will also be leaving the franchise after The Last Night, as he told The Graham Norton Show, "It's the last one, so I get my life back."
Oh my god.
That's not even a joke. That is his actual quote. And he said it that giddy. That's the actual quote. We also have news of the Transformers spin-off films that we're all dying to see. The Bumblebee spin-off was highlighted in Empire magazine, and it was revealed that the film will take place in the 1980s. In The Last Night, we see, I don't know, in The Last Night, we see that at least a part of the film will take place in medieval times, but we may have another ancient setting on the horizon for a future spin-off. In the article by Empire, it also revealed that there have been conversations, nothing set in stone, but conversations about setting a prequel in ancient Rome. Cool, Natasha.
Does that mean we're getting the old shitty Camaro back?
We might get the old shitty Camaro. Yes, that is a very good... I actually forgot about that, Carbon. You were the one that watched the first one.
Yeah.
So thank you for reminding me.
But,
And that's all for news this week. So, let's jump right into Transformers, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. Now, if the Bumblebee spinoff, which should not be existing, takes place in the 1980s, I think out of all times, I would rather them have the movie take place. I think I would rather that, honestly, because I don't know. It's just I don't know. I have no words for that, honestly. It's just weird. But
I thought the Bumblebee spinoff would be a romantic comedy with him reuniting with Sam Witwicky.
Oh my God.
But I guess that's not the route they're going. So
Well, I mean, he's so old now at this point.
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
But with the line, the quote with Mark Wahlberg.
It's the last one, so I get my life back.
I don't think he meant that in disrespect. I think he honestly meant that by he finally doesn't have to be
very
tied
busy,
to these movies.
you know.
I honestly feel like that's what he actually tried to meant. But in our eyes, we
Just
know
that
deep
quote.
down inside.
That's my favorite quote that I've ever seen anyone have their entire life.
Well, how about this? Later on, I will pull up that Graham Norton quote clip and watch it, and I'll let you know exactly how he meant to say it.
Yeah, because he was giddy when he said it.
Yeah, I guess he meant it in both ways, I guess, in his mind, but it's whatever. But that's hilarious, and I really do hope this is Michael Bay's last freaking directed.
It's his swan song, I guess.
Yo, imagine if Transformers comes out to 95%.
I honestly said I'm gonna see the movie no matter what because I hate myself.
Yeah,
and I've
You just want
seen
to torture yourself.
I've seen all 4 of them in theaters, and I'm not gonna let this franchise beat me down.
Oh, I am so sorry.
I'm going
I have to.
Yeah, I can't let
to as
them
well.
win. Plus,
A lot.
They are on my roster, so I have to support my team.
yeah.
I don't. As much as I don't want to support your team, I have to go see it because I've seen all the other ones.
I'm not seeing it, just to clarify. So,
Neither am I.
so yeah, you guys can go enjoy that movie. So,
We will. We'll tell you about it next week.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, dude, that's crazy. 32 Marvel characters. I honestly, I don't think it's gonna be 32 Marvel superheroes on screen. But
Yeah, she did have to think. You can see, I watched the interview because I'm like, all right, is that just really taken out of context? She's like, I don't know, 32. But she actually sat back and she's like, yeah, I want to say there's, let me think, 32 on screen. I'm like, she actually put thought in that. In her head, she actually thought that that's probably the right number.
that's crazy, man.
I am excited.
If you're gonna have that many characters in a film, how are they ever going to squeeze in enough screen time for each and every single
They're not gonna.
Yeah,
they're not
There's
gonna.
no possible way.
I think
honestly,
I think they're banking on the fact that all these characters are already so established at this point that they can just show them like with minimal lines and then have more time for all that.
Still, but that I honestly think that'll take away from the character.
It could, but at the same time, I know like who was it? I think Dave Bautista, was either him? No, I think it was Chris Pratt, actually. He said that the Guardians really are just side characters in it. They just sort of appear because it's like the Avengers storyline.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're going to have the main players of the Avengers in the forefront, and everyone else is just sort of going to be like background where they just pop up in that.
Yeah.
Which is, like, I don't want to say it's disappointing, because there's really no good way to do it, honestly.
I'm still waiting for an awesome sit-down of poker night where you're going to have Stark, Chris Pratt, Rocket, and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That would just be a wit battle right there.
I mean, if they honestly did try to give enough screen time to every single character, there'd be like a 4-hour movie. You know?
Exactly.
So,
or more.
Longer.
I mean, I wouldn't mind it. But, you know.
Yeah, as long as it's good, I don't care how long the movie is.
That would be like a whole season of a television show.
Yeah, I probably couldn't sit in a theater for 4 hours.
I could
do it.
Because we did
times.
the Hobbit marathon at the theater, and we were like halfway through Desolation of Smaug, and I'm like, oh my god, there's still a new one after this. Like,
oh my god. But I mean, regardless of the fact, I am definitely looking forward to Infinity War. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So with Kevin Feige, I don't know, this whole thing with honestly, I mean, with the failure of Fanforstic, which you still need to review, by the way.
Yep. Same time you do Airplane versus Volcano.
You're dreading this.
I will do Fanforstic.
Wait, which one?
The new one.
I've already
The
seen it.
rebooted one.
Don't waste your time.
Oh, I know, it's bad. I watched the
bet.
last. Yeah, it was a bet. It was actually. Did you watch the Super Bowl this year?
Where the Patriots made the biggest comeback in Super Bowl history.
Yeah, I bet on the Falcons. Pedro bet on the Patriots. Whoever lost.
I can't remember what I was doing that
Okay,
night.
so whoever lost the game, whoever's team lost the game, had to watch a movie of the winner's choice, and Falcons were winning 28-3. So I'm bragging. I'm picking out movies. I'm like, oh yeah, you ready to watch this? Blah blah blah. Then the game just starts getting closer and closer, and I'm like, I'm gonna stop bragging now, just in case. And then, Tom Brady, being the greatest of all time that he is, ties the game, then wins the game in overtime, and I just had a big old foot in my mouth. And he's like, you get Fanforstic. I'm like, yeah, I deserve it. I deserve it. That was that bet.
Yeah.
I did watch the last 15 minutes of it, though, because it was on before an episode of Game of Thrones last year. And I watched the last 15 minutes, and I'm like, this is the
last
worst.
15 minutes.
I remember, Zach, you told me the last line they had for the movie, and I was like, that's bullshit. There's no way that line exists.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Literally, the last line is they're trying to figure out a name. And then they're like, yeah, it's fantastic. And he's like, wait, what'd you say? I said it's fantastic. Hey guys, I got it. Then it cuts to black, and that's just how it ends.
Bullshit. Yeah. I'm like, there's no way that exists.
I was sitting in the cinema. I actually watched it when I was depressed, which made me even more depressed. And I stood up.
Not a movie to see when you're depressed.
I stood up, and I had the ticket in my hand. I went, that's bullshit, and I walked out.
Remember, I was excited for that movie.
I would have walked out in the first 20 minutes.
I was excited for that movie because it was coming fresh off the heels of Days of Future Past. I'm like, Fox is on their shit right now.
Great cast attached to
Michael B. Jordan, Miles Teller, Kate Mara. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, I was excited for it too. When
you saw Michael B. Jordan jump ship from Fox back straight to Marvel.
Back to Marvel.
Yeah, because he knows Marvel's on their shit.
Yeah.
He said, fuck this. But other than that, it's sad to keep hearing, that freaking the Netflix world won't be completely tied with the cinematic world.
I was really hoping for at least a Daredevil reference in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Even just like a DD spray painted on a wall somewhere as he's swinging by.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm still waiting for them to find out that Coulson's alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how have they kept him secret with everything going to
See,
shit
in my
both worlds.
mind, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. like isn't canon because that just ruins so much for me because like his
It
death in the
is
Avengers is
canon.
I know it is. But like that is debatable though because like Joss Whedon who created the show, he sort of went back and forth on it where he's like it's sort of its own thing, but it's kind of not, but I don't know.
It is and it's not. It's like a side adventure, but it does connect.
Yeah.
Do you, Age of Ultron. Do you
Well,
remember
it
that?
doesn't connect to the movies. It connects to the movies. The movies don't connect to it though, because they don't reference anything in the show.
Yeah, they do.
It's just like, well, the in the movies they don't reference the show, is
No,
what I'm saying.
no, no,
but
no.
the show references the movies.
Yeah, big time.
That's how it does it.
Like, for example, Age of Ultron, the helicarrier that Samuel L. Jackson just miraculously shows up at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Coulson was putting aside funds and weapons under a secret project name,
Yeah.
and that was what it was.
Mm.
When he said he got it from an old friend, he was referencing the TV show. That was Coulson.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It just ruined so much of the Avengers for me because his death was like, even though he was such a side character, like I really felt it. We were like, you pissed someone else off too. His name was Phil. I'm like, you get him, Iron Man. You avenge Phil Coulson.
Did you see the one shot of him in the desert on the way to Thor's hammer?
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
All those are so funny.
I want to watch the first Avengers again because that is just such a good movie.
It's good, yeah.
I checked out after the second episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I cannot watch the show. The dialogue, everything. I just can't watch the show. It pains me to watch it. And
It got better.
Yeah, I did hear it gets better once Winter Soldier happens.
So yeah, when Bill Paxton comes in, you get some of the best freaking lines in the show.
Game over, man.
Hail Hydra, put your hands down. You look like a gay cheerleader.
it just makes me mad that that Ghost Rider's in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and not either in the cinematic universe or the
I
Netflix
did
one.
watch an episode this
is
year.
good.
I watched an episode this year
Robbie
with Ghost
Reyes
Rider
is
just
good.
because I was curious. And it was that episode when he fights Quake, like early in the season. I'm like, this is cool. Like, it is a good iteration
Oh,
of
yeah.
Ghost Rider.
Very.
But I
Better
guess
than Nick Cage.
I guess it's
Yeah.
also a good thing because there are more iterations
That's not
of
hard.
Ghost Rider.
There are, yeah.
So, he's not the only Ghost Rider that exists. So hopefully they do another reincarnation of Ghost Rider in either Netflix or the cinematic universe.
Yeah, like a Netflix TVMA show would be awesome.
Yeah. All right, so continuing off. Now, listen. I don't know, I kind of, listen, when we were talking about the whole Venom being in its own potential cinematic universe with Black Cat and Silver Sable, I was like, listen, being the fact that they casted Tom Hardy, I can really give a shit what world this lives in now, because I just want to see this happen. But now the fact that they are confirming that Venom is going to be Venom, which is, be reminded, going to be a rated R movie. Mm-hmm. It's going to take place in the same world that Iron Man and Captain America and all these other characters live in. So that really intrigues me.
I do want to, because I did put on there more on that in a bit, because I did have one more thing I want to add to, but I wanted to sort of discuss it with everyone.
Okay.
So I watched this interview to see it, and you can tell that when Amy Pascal, when she's like, yeah, he's in like the same universe as Spider-Man, it's obviously so much bigger. Kevin Feige sort of looks at her like, wait, what? you can just tell that reaction from him because
God.
she says it, and he literally just goes like, wait, what'd you say? But like he doesn't say anything. So I'm really interested to see like if he comes out and says something like, well, not technically.
He probably just didn't want to be rude. He's like, whoa. No, he isn't.
Yeah, he didn't want to start like a fight like during an interview.
It's either that or, wait, what did you just say? You weren't supposed to give that away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But either way, I hope if that's the case, because this sounds like it's confirmed. I mean, so if it is like 100%, like there's nothing going to come out in the future where it says he isn't, this makes me happy. I am looking forward to it. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Travis, what do you think about this news?
I mean, honestly, at this point, who cares? Like, I'm excited for the Venom movie, but I don't care if it's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think they're doing just fine on their own.
Yeah, but I mean, it's nice to know that
Sony is not doing just fine on their own.
No,
no,
Marvel's
no.
doing just fine on their own. I'm saying that Sony. I mean, I'm excited for the Venom movie. We'll see if that's going to revitalize, Sony's Spider-Man whatever thing. But
I mean, we'll have to see. I mean, I'm just like I said before, I'm looking forward to. I could have cared less if this was either its own universe or not because of Tom Hardy. I just want to see Tom Hardy as Venom.
yeah, Tom Hardy as Venom is gonna be great.
Yeah. So yeah, moving on with Ryan Reynolds tweeting out the Deadpool 2 set photo. I thought that was pretty funny. It was pretty cool. So I mean, what'd you guys think other than that? I mean,
Yeah, it was pretty funny. It's pretty cool.
Okay, moving on. With Colin Trevorrow with the failure of.
Yeah, I thought the Deadpool photo. No, just
Oh
kidding.
my god.
Honestly, when it comes down to it, it's Deadpool, and we're all gonna go see
Yeah,
it.
we're
So
all
we
gonna
need
see
to
it, no
say
matter what.
anything.
Yeah. Deadpool could literally release a clip. It's like, hey, go see the fucking movie. It's like, okay, you know.
Right. Yes, Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll get right on it, sir.
We don't need a repeat of Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so it's interesting to hear. You know, it's actually speaking of like the failure of the Book of Henry. A lot of people are now thinking like whether or not if
Episode 9, I saw that.
Yeah, Disney's are having like having second thoughts of having him direct episode 9. But I mean, was the Book of Henry was that like a passion project of his, or was that like something else? Like
I just know he made it, and
Yeah.
it just got. I heard it was way too ambitious for its own good,
Right.
and that it just didn't connect on any level.
because if it was a passion project that it failed, I can understand that. Because the other movie like Jurassic World, that was a project he was given. You know,
Yeah.
this is something he has to do and has to make, and I felt like he accomplished with Jurassic World, and it's going to be the same case with Episode 9.
I mean, to be fair, Jurassic World wasn't that good.
What are you
It
talking-
wasn't like amazing or anything.
No, it
Yeah,
wasn't. But
it wasn't like Jurassic Park good.
No,
Yeah.
but it was enjoyable. Like it was like a
No,
good
it
time
was
at the
very
movie theaters.
enjoyable. It was still a very enjoyable movie.
But so that's just my whole point. He succeeded with Jurassic World, and hopefully he succeeds with Episode 9. So that's all I have to say about that. But so yeah, and it's also nice to hear that they're going to be referring to some lines that Jeff Goldblum's going to be speaking with from the original book, which is cool. So I mean, that's pretty cool. Anybody else got to say anything on that?
No, Pedro.
What? I zoned out. I'm sorry.
Jeff Goldblum, his
I
character.
caught it.
Okay.
I caught it.
Next, okay, all right. So listen, I am super excited the fact that from what it looks like, we're gonna get an epic trilogy.
Yeah, I have an erection.
So yeah, I mean, we could kind of got your input earlier, Zach. But I mean, any more input you want to put on with the trilogy?
I'm ready for War for the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Listen, I remember I saw the first one, Rise, with my stepdad. I remember we were both sort of like, all right, it looks all right, but it's like released in August, which at that time was still like you really don't know what you want your movie to be, because August,
Yeah.
to this day, August is still very iffy.
And plus, it was following up the final Harry Potter movie.
Yeah,
Like,
and
I think
so
a week right afterwards.
yeah,
So
so-
it had tough competition.
yeah, and I remember I went in to go see it, and I was never a big Planet of the Apes fan. Ironically,
Tim
because
Burton
I was
ruined it
named
for you.
I was named after a character in Planet of the Apes because my dad is a huge Planet of the Apes fan. But so then the television series, and then so basically I saw it and I just loved the movie because it was such like a slow build. And in Dawn, I thought we were gonna get like a more action-packed movie. Like, once again, it was a slow build, but it really built to it. And just I love Dawn even more than Rise. And then as soon as the first trailer came out for this one, I was like, it's gonna be a home run.
The only problem I've had with it is I grew up watching Planet of the Apes. I absolutely loved it. Travis, I'm gonna smack you sideways. Sorry about that. Things got a little violent over here. Rise had an amazing cast. I feel like James Franco hasn't been doing his best work in the past few years, and
Oh, yeah.
therefore I was skeptical going into it.
Apparently, he's good as Tommy Wiseau in The Room.
Oh God.
Disaster
Which-
artist.
Disaster artist.
Which I just downloaded, so I will finally get a chance to see the disaster that is The Room.
Oh God.
I loved Dawn. I freaking love that film so much. I'm skeptical on Rise. Not Rise. War.
You're skeptical.
I am. Apart from returning apes such as Maurice and Caesar and Woody Harrelson, it doesn't really seem to have...
Woody Harrelson's not an ape.
I don't know. But it doesn't seem to have the same cast effect as the previous two films.
Well, I
Yeah,
also
there's-
think
Bigger
they're
names.
really trying to more focus on the apes now this time, with War. So I guess, I don't know, maybe that's why they don't have like a huge cast for War.
I mean, really, once we hit the
I can understand
halfway
that,
point of Rise, Andy Serkis was the star
Yeah.
of the trilogy.
No,
He is by
was
far,
from the
and
beginning.
yeah, absolutely. And like Pedro just said, I feel like this one's really going to focus more on the apes. I know, like the last, both of them, you had James Franco and obviously John Lithgow in that movie, and then you had Jason Clarke in the last one, to go along with Gary Oldman as the villain. So you always had that good, like that good guy, like human person,
Yeah.
But I feel like that character in this one's going to be the little girl. Which is cool because it's like that Newt vibe to it, which I
Yeah.
like. So I'm really excited. I just can't wait.
I think one of the other problems I'm having, and this is probably the only other problem, is the gap between releasing the films. I think the first one came out, what was it, 20...
Well, they've been 3 years apart,
2010?
each one. No, it was 11, 14, and 17.
Okay. So, rather close.
Yeah.
But, yes.
So a quick question about Planet of the Apes. Now, there was a lot of debating when Dawn came out, because I want to get your perspective on this. That there was a lot of debating going around on whether or not Andy Serkis deserved at least an Oscar nomination for playing Caesar.
For Dawn, he did.
Yes, he did.
For Dawn, he did.
I thought he was robbed of that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people had that whole thing. Well, it was him. He was CGI'd, so
Yeah.
it really wasn't him.
I'm going to come out and say this right now as a prediction. He will get nominated for War for the Planet of the Apes.
You think so?
He will get nominated. People will recognize that this is his last time playing the character because that's what it appears to be. Everyone said this is like the end of the story. I feel like people will recognize that, and I feel like he will get an Oscar, not just for this, but recognizing all the other work he's done for years in the industry with mocap. And I feel like people will finally be like, all right, let's give this guy what he deserves. So I feel like he at least gets a nomination.
Honestly, when people when he played Gollum, and he's been getting this over the years, he doesn't voice anything. He is an actual living character.
Yeah.
He may be in a suit. Yeah, there's dots on his face. It's CGI. There's mocap, but he
becomes that character.
He does.
He becomes them.
And that is the performance in itself.
Even like with Gollum, just like his facial expressions, he'd
Oh.
always do that,
I agree
Yeah.
so much.
Well, that's good to hear. So yeah, oh my god, this fucking bullshit. Listen.
So who's the? Oh, fuck that.
Now when I just saw the preview of the article, before actually clicking on it, and I saw the crooked man's face, I'm like, oh god, please tell me this is not what I think it is. And I saw the Crooked Man getting its own spin-off film. Are you fucking kidding me? Listen, I was okay. Like when I heard the announcement when the Annabelle was getting its spin-off originally, I was like, okay, that makes sense. That I'm looking forward to that. When it finally came out, I was like,
Annabelle came out.
Then when it came out, I was robbed of $22. I had a horrible day. And
You made a
bad
video
time.
cursing someone out.
yeah,
That
which
was
I
a-
got shit for, but whatever.
That was a really bad time.
Yeah, and then I hear Annabelle 2's being released, and then I'm like, oh god. Then The Conjuring 2 comes out, and I
least
freaking
it wasn't
loved.
Ouija.
I loved The Conjuring 2.
Very good
And
movie.
Freaking. Then I hear The Nun is getting a spin-off movie. I'm like, okay, so this is exactly what's happening from the first movie, and I'm like, whatever. It's gonna come out. It's gonna come out. If it's good, hooray! We get another good horror movie on our hands. But if it sucks, I'm not gonna be surprised by that. Then I hear The Crooked Man is gonna get a film. I'm like, why? This makes zero fucking sense, because The Crooked Man, within the context of The Conjuring 2, makes sense. Why the fuck is it gonna be in its own movie? How? I don't understand that.
It makes more sense than The Nun, which only took the form of a nun to mock Lorraine Warren, who's not going to be in the spin-off film.
Yeah, but it's just like, in the end, none of it all makes fucking sense. So.
None of it makes sense.
Oh, wow. Oh, you got me there. But, I mean, I'm just fed up with this bullshit. I mean, listen, I'm just glad that at least the first two Conjuring movies were good. And, that hopefully if they make a Conjuring 3, that one's fantastic as well. And the spin-offs can be its own pile of shit for all I care. So, I mean, what do you take from this, Zach?
It's dog shit.
Yeah. So, Travis,
It's dog shit.
Natasha.
I have no basis to compare. I've not seen any of them.
You've never seen Okay, so to be fair, the only one I've ever seen is Conjuring 2. I haven't seen the first Conjuring.
Oh my
You
god.
don't need to though.
I've heard amazing things about it though, and I want to see it. But I loved Conjuring 2. I am not a horror fan at all, but I fucking loved Conjuring 2. I thought it was one of my favorite horror films ever.
Farmiga,
From Bates Motel.
Yes, from Bates Motel.
And The Departed.
Yes.
No,
And
The Departed.
a little known Australian television show with Heath Ledger called Roar. She couldn't even make me see it.
Oh my god, that's
mind.
absurd. Because I remember seeing the first Conjuring with Zach, and that was a great time in the theater.
Oh, that was one of the best theater experiences ever.
Yeah.
Remember when the guy freaked out?
Oh my god, it was hilarious.
Because you have this horror movie where everyone would scream, then everyone would start laughing because like, all right, they got us. We're all screaming. It's funny.
Yeah.
And you were doing the entire movie, then like halfway through, this guy turns around and he's like, "Will you all shut the fuck up?" He's like, "It's a horror movie, not a fucking comedy. I'm trying to watch the goddamn movie." Yeah, he was on our row. He was just freaking out. Everyone was like, "Shut up, dude."
Well, it's like if he wasn't on our specific row, I would have said some shit. But I know if I would have, there probably would have been a fight. So
Yeah.
Since we're talking about theater experiences, let me tell you about the 2 worst theater experiences I've ever had.
This is Travis's mini review
Right.
of the movie experience he had
on Sunday. Literally on Sunday, I went to see 2 different movies. I saw the new Pirates, and I went right after that. I went to go see It Comes at Night, and I saw them at 2 different theaters too.
Okay.
So I went to see Pirates, and during Pirates, there was this group of girls that would not shut the fuck up behind me the entire movie. And I almost stood up and like I was gonna stand up and be like, "Will you shut the fuck up?"
He honestly wanted to do it, but he didn't think they'd be able to see him like behind the seat standing. So
Well, no, this was in Dixon City, so they didn't have the high walls.
It's all the same.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna make a joke about that.
Fuck
I'm
off.
glad I didn't.
And then
Is that top of the head yelling at us?
I am going to just say this right now. Apart from the occasional screaming baby, and that doesn't happen very often, I don't think I've ever had a bad cinema experience.
Great, I was still telling my story.
Well, no one cares about
she
you.
was in the middle. Okay, listen. Okay. What's your next story?
I went to go see It Comes at Night, which by the way was very, very good. I highly recommend it.
I heard mixed things.
It is. It's mixed things, really.
I honestly know.
It has like an 87%
Yeah, it has like really good reviews, but my one friend, George, saw the movie and he was like, it sucked. He gave it like one. He gave it like 1 star. I was like, ooh.
Number one, it didn't suck. It felt like a Last of Us fan film, honestly. But the thing I didn't like about it was that it just kind of ends. Like, it doesn't really have an ending. It just kind of
doesn't wrap up.
Yeah, it doesn't really wrap up. It just ends. But the movie itself, like up to that point, is really good. Anyway, during the movie, the same thing happened where there was this guy and girl, and they were behind me up to almost the same exact spot as those other girls, and they were fucking talking during like the entire movie.
It was the same girls.
It wasn't the same girls. Plus, on top of that, I had this super old couple sitting like literally right next to me. Like literally, the entire theater is open, and they decide to sit right next to me in the theater.
Hey there, buddy.
And the guy fell asleep like after the first act and snored the entire time.
Oh, that's terrible.
You
can't be like, "Yo, old man, wake the fuck up."
Just like smack him on the top of the head. Be like, shut the fuck up.
I'm too nice to do things like that.
No, I hear you. But the one thing I do hate when people are in the movie theaters is when they're on their phone.
Yeah,
that's absurd. I can't deal with that.
And when they talk during the entire movie, that is like my 2 biggest pet peeves.
Like, I can understand like if you whisper to your friend right next.
Yeah,
to
you can
like
whisper
that.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But like when you're actually like full on like loud like talking.
I don't know, Pedro. When we saw Fast and Furious 6 and Rock put that guy through the table,
Listen.
and I yelled out, give him the people's elbow. That was a big hit.
That's fine. Like stuff like that is fine. But when you're like just talking to your friends like for like 20 minutes and not shutting up. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I would have done something about that, but thankfully I haven't had to gone to that point in a movie theater experience. But other than that,
anyway, It Comes at Night was really good. I highly recommend it. Felt like a Last of Us fan film.
Real quick, wrapping up the news. I want to talk about. It's really surprising that All Eyes on Me is getting terrible reviews right now.
It looked good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so which is very surprising and which sucks. But I'm also hearing that they're also working on another autobiography for Tupac anyway. So,
Well, I guess you could say that.
Tupac can't write an autobiography right now.
or
You mean a biography.
biopic, I meant.
Yeah, biopic.
Not autobiography. That's
I guess you could say
that.
that All Eyes on Me has no eyes on it.
Oh, Jesus.
That was the worst pun of the night.
No stars on it is more like it.
Yeah. But other than that, I mean, yeah, it sucks that Cars 3, isn't, performing as well as it should be. But, I was actually supposed to see it yesterday because it was Father's Day, and my father, wanted to go out and see a movie, but we just didn't for some reason. So, but other than that, whatever, yeah, I looking forward to Incredibles 2. I just, we all want that except for Natasha. So,
Yeah, of course.
She's out. She's leaving.
But yeah, so would you guys say that wraps up news?
Nope.
Yeah, no.
No.
All right, that wraps up news.
Oh my god.